रञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Sri Harinam series. Yesterday we were discussing some of the offenses to the holy name, and we had covered Sat Shastra Ninda or Shastra Ninda, criticizing the Shruti and the Smriti scriptures, and how indirectly we can criticize especially the Shastras is those who are following those scriptures. So yesterday we went into quite a detail about this. We heard the story of Kumara Bhatta. And then we went into the next offense, that considering that the glory of the holy name which is described in the Vedas and other scriptures is just exaggeration, praise, just as there is in the Karma Shastras and the Jnana Shastras praising the results. So results, what we are going to derive from the holy name, that is also all exaggeration just to attract the people. So when we consider like that, then it is also an offense. So yesterday we discussed this also. And now today Bhaktivinoda Thakur brings up another theme which is in stanza 17. So today we will begin with stanza 17. नामा भाष्ये ओ नामेर भेद ना बुझिया अनेक मने करेन ए नाम अक्षर मय अतएव श्रद्धा ना करिया नामादि ग्रहण करिलो फल होबे. Not understanding the difference between the reflection of the holy name and the holy name. Namabhasa o namera bhed. Not understanding this bhed between namabhas and nam. Many think that the holy name is composed of syllables. Na bhujiya aneka mane karena ei. What they think? Aneka, many people think, Nama Aksharmaya, that the holy name is composed of syllables. Ataeva Shraddha na kariya, therefore, even if the holy name and so are uttered without respect, Namadi Grahana Karila, Fala Hobe, it will yield results. So please remember that this is the glory of Bhakti Devi, that whether you have faith or you don't have faith, but whatever actions of bhakti you do, like chanting the holy name, whether you have faith or you don't have faith, bhakti will give results. So similarly, the holy name also, not understanding this conception of the difference between nama bhas and nam, and thinking that nam is composed of material syllables, if one utters the holy name without faith, without respect, it will yield results. Now, kindly stay tuned, and once we discuss few of the stanzas, and I'll go through some of the concepts, then it will become more clear. Tahara Ajamilera Itihas O Sanketyam Parihasyam Va Ityadi Shastra Vachanera Udaharan Dena. These people quote the as examples of history of Ajamil and scriptural texts such as Srimad Bhagavatam 6 to 14. So these people, not understanding the difference between Nam and Namabhas, they think that the holy name is composed of material syllables, and even if it is not, even if it is uttered without respect, it will yield results. It will yield results, and it actually yields results. And they quote the history of Ajamil, and they quote this verse. This is a famous verse. We all know that. Now, let us go into the footnote and understand this verse. Sanketyam parihasyam va stobam helanameva va vaikuntanama grahanam asheshaga haram vidu. One who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reactions of unlimited sins. Ashesha means unlimited. Agha means sin. Haram means he is freed. Vidu means, oh, understand, know this. Even if he chants indirectly to indicate something else, sanketyam, jokingly, parihasyam, for musical entertainment, stobam, or even neglectfully, helanamva. This is accepted by all learned scholars of the scriptures. Vaikunta Nama Grahanam, one who chants the Vaikunta Nama, the name of Narayan, Vidu means those who are learned, they know this. Now, Ajamil, did he chant the holy name with faith or without faith? First, let us try to understand this. Ajamil. Yes, Prashant Shanbhag Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. With faith on his son, so
no, I'm talking about the holy name. Whether he spoke, we chanted the holy name with faith or without faith.
Without faith. Yeah.
Without faith.
Yeah, but he without offense he called.
No, that is something different. And please
Yeah.
don't type your answers in the chat box. That also, you lose your attention in the discussion. Only the chat box is to be used when the audio is, not working properly. Nityanand Priya Prabhu, you want to say something more?
No, Boji, same thing. It was without faith. Just because he wanted to call out his son and his name was Narayan, That's the only reason I feel, Pooji.
Yeah, he chanted indirectly, but yet he got the results of chanting Namabhas. How is it that he got the result of Namabhas chanting, and that too without faith? Now, this is very important for us to understand. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Sri Harinam Chintamani devotes an entire chapter, chapter 3, on Namabhas. And in that whole chapter, he explains what is the concept of Namabhas, the divisions of Namabhas. And time doesn't permit for us to discuss that, because that will require at least 15, 20 hours of discussion on the glories of Namabhas. It has to be taken as a separate seminar, which we are planning definitely in the future. But I'll summarize what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says there. So there are 3 stages of chanting: Namaprad, Namabhas, Shuddhanam. Now, Nam is Nam, name is name. But the name, when it is taken, when you take the name and you commit offense to the name by committing any of the 10 offenses, and especially inattention, then it becomes Namaparad. It's not that the name is having these stages. Name is name, Nam is Nam. But while taking the Nam, if you're inattentive, then you commit what is called as Namaparad. And while taking the name, because of the anarthas in the form of fog and cloud which are covering, you're not able to take the name. You're only able to take the reflection of the name. It's because of our own anarthas. Name is name itself, but what comes out is the reflection of the name, then it is Namabhas. And name is name. Nam means Shuddhanam. I hope now we are very clear about it. So these are the 3 stages we go through. And usually, because the chitta is not pure and the chitta is attracted to unlimited attractions of this world, when we stick to the holy name, the mind wanders where the impressions of the chitta go. And that's why there is inattention and we commit what is called as Namaprad. So these are the 3 stages of chanting. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur further mentions, as I was mentioning in the 3rd chapter, divisions of Namabhas. There he says there is Shraddha Namabhas and Ashraddha Namabhas. And within Ashraddha Namabhas comes Sanket, Parihasya, Stoba and Hail. Now, please remember, Ajamil chanted Ashraddha Namabhas, and within Ashraddha Namabhas, he chanted Sanket, indicating something else indirectly, And this is the glory of Namabhas. Even without faith, he was completely free from all sins. And that too, that was Ashraddha Namabhas. Ashraddha Namabhas. And Shraddha Namabhas has these 2 divisions: Chaya Namabhas, Pratibimba Namabhas. Now, what is Chaya and Pratibimba? I'll just briefly touch upon it, because this knowledge is very important. Now we have taken up to the chanting of the holy names. We know that the holy name is an address directly to the Lord. We are not, addressing someone else. We are not in Ashraddhanamabhas category. We have to take Shraddhanamabhas. And within Shraddhanamabhas, there are these 2 divisions, Chaya and Pratibimba. We should take Chaya Namabhas. So what is Chaya and Pratibimba? Bhaktivinoda Thakur quite elaborately goes, but let me just put it briefly. Now, what is Chaya? Chaya is like the shadow. Now, you can see there is a tree and there is a shadow of the tree. Now, the shadow has the connection with the tree. It has a connection, because where the tree ends here, the root here, from there, the shadow is there. So there is a relationship between the real tree and there is the shadow. There is a relationship. There is a connection. That is Chaya Namabhas. But Pratibimba means there is a tree and you can see the reflection of the tree in the water. And sometimes this reflection of the tree in the water can also fall on the wall, which is not here in the picture. But here there is no connection. There is no literal connection between the actual tree and the reflection which is on the water. That is Pratibimba. That is called as Pratibimba. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes on to a lot of detail to explain what is Chaya Namabhas and Pratibimba Namabhas in that third chapter of Sri Harinam Chintamani. Now, because Chaya Namabhas has a connection with the actual tree, and we should chant the Chaya Namabhas. And Pratibimba Namabhas is because of misconceptions of understanding about Nama Tattva, especially Nama Tattva. And especially Mayavadis, they might take to the holy name to attain liberation. So like that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes into a lot of detail about this difference between Pratibimba and Chaya Namabhas. And we who have taken up to sadhana bhakti, to the chanting of the holy names, we go through this Namaprad stage. And again, it is not that we take Nam, while taking the Nam, we are inattentive, and that's why it becomes Namaprad. And then we have to go through this stage of Chaya Shraddha Namabhas, and then come to Shuddhanam. So, the point being made here is that even if it is uttered without respect, it will yield results. It will yield results. So this is very important. And they quote the example of Ajamil. They'll quote the example of Ajamil. So let's go a little further and then I will take up questions. Purve katita hayache e nama chaitanya rasa vigra indriya grahya nahena. It has already been stated that the holy name is a form of consciousness and rasa, not perceivable by the senses. So this in the Nama Tattva we discussed that. Stanza 9. Sei stale niraprada nama ras ashray na karile namera phala uday sambhav hai na. Again, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making this point. Therefore, one who does not take the shelter of the rasa of the holy name without offenses, niraprada nama rasa ashray na karila, there is no possibility of success in chanting the holy names. Namera phalodaya sambhav hoy na. So especially why Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting this, that they quote these examples that you can chant the holy name without respect or like Sanket and it will yield results. So he's quoting this because during the 18th century, during the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there were the caste Goswamis who thought that they have the monopoly to spread the holy names. Only we can give Diksha because we are coming in the parampara and nobody else can give Diksha. So that was their, conception. And they were maintaining the deities just to collect funds. And the simple Bengali and the Orissa people used to come and they used to, initiate them. Like take this mala and they used to chant and give it. You chant. And they used to quote the standard verse that Ajamil, Agad Papam, he had done unlimited sins. And at the time of death, he called Putropacharita. He called his son and he attained the holy name. He attained the abode of the Lord. I don't recollect the verse. I'm not able to. It's there in the 6th canto. And then the last line is saying, Kim Shraddhaya Uta Grinan. Then what to speak if one takes the holy name with faith? So Ajamil, who had committed unlimited sins, he took the name of the Narayan his son at the time of death, and he attained the Lord's abode. So this verse is was misinterpreted by them, and they were saying, you continue to do sins. Whatever you're doing, you continue your life, sinful life, and you keep on taking the holy name. And ultimately, you'll go back to the spiritual world. So, whole, upper sampradayas came in there. And these Bengalis, Bengalis and especially Oriya people are very attached to eating fish. Jalera fal. It's called as the fruit of the ocean or the water, Jalera fal. So you could see in Bengal during that time that people in one hand had the mala, and in the other hand they were carrying fish home. So such a distortion had happened. And that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote Sri Harinam Chintamani, where he explained that there are stages of chanting Namaprad, Namabhas, and Shuddhanam. Only one who takes Shuddhanam can go back to the spiritual world. And one who takes Namaprad, he cannot. So he had to clarify all that in the Sri Harinam Chintamani and re-establish the glories of the holy name. So Ajamil understood the glories of the holy name in that discussion which happened between the Vishnudutas and the Yamdutas. Having understood that and having faith now, he retired, immediately left his home, went to Haridwar and worshipped the deity, took up to the chanting, and from the Namaprad stage, he went to the stage of Chaya Shraddhanamas and Shuddhanam, and then he went back to Godhead. So it's not that, Ajamil immediately, calling his son Narayan, he went to the spiritual abode. So they misinterpreted all that, and that's why the whole distortion had come. And we can see the glory of Namabhas chanting. Even if it is a Shraddha Namabhas, what will happen? Ashesha Aga Haram Vidu. Ashesha Aga Haram Vidu. That is the glory of, the holy name. Ashesha Aga. Even if it is a Shraddha Namabhas. And then what to speak of? Shraddha Namabhas. And within that, Chaya Shraddha Namabhas. The Pratibimba has to be avoided. That's why we have to understand the Tattva of Pratibimba. The Mayavadis interpret, the holy name because they have other desires, especially for liberation. And, they give various kinds of interpretation. Actually, there is no nectar, bliss in the holy names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Between the Hare and the Krishna, the gap is there. That gap, which is Shunya, nothing is there in that gives bliss. So they take the holy name with this kind of a misconception. And that misconception is like the reflection of the tree in the lake here or in the water here, in the pool here, which has no connection with the actual tree. No connection with the actual tree. So this Pratibimba Namabhas has to be avoided. And one should chant the Chaya Namabhas, and from the Chaya Namabhas come to the Shuddha Nam. And that's why he says that one who does not take shelter of the rasa of the holy name without offenses, there is no success in chanting. So these people in the 18th century who were committing sins and they were not taking actually the Nam. So they were not taking the holy name without offenses. So there was no success in the holy name. I'll just finish this part and then Shraddha Vihina Lokera Shri Nam Ucharana Karara Fala A Pare Sa Shraddha Nama Hoite Pare. The result of chanting the holy name by faithless people is that it might later become chanting the holy name with faith. So this is the glory. So from chanting the holy name without faith, they can come to the point that they can chant with faith. And then you go through these stages. You go through these stages. अथैव दुष्ट रूपे अर्थवाद करिया नामे के जड़ात्मक अक्षर स्वरूप ज्ञाने याहर कर्म कांडेर अंग बोलिया वाक्या करेन ताहर नितांत बहिर्मुख ओ नाम अपराधी. Therefore, those who viciously interpret the holy name with the conception that the holy name is composed of material syllables, explaining that it is an aspect of karma kanda, are extremely averse and offensive to the holy name. They interpret, oh, between Krishna and Rama, that gap is there. That gap gives you bliss. So like that, all these misconceptions and interpretations they do, for them, they are averse to the holy name. Now there is a footnote. There is a distinction between this and the previous offense. This offense and the previous offense look quite similar. To consider the glories of the holy name to be exaggeration. And here it is misinterpretation of the holy name. In Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami Prabhu remarks, Artavada stuti matram idam iti mananam. Artavad is the thought that this statement of the glory of the holy name is merely intended for praise and not to be taken seriously by those of the higher eligibility. Kalpanam tan mahatmya gaunata karanaya gatya antara chintanam. But kalpanam means interpretation, is a thought process of finding another way to establish the inferiority of the glory of the holy name. So that is the difference between Arthavad and Kalpanam. I was explaining that these Mayavadis, they also chant the holy name, but they say the bliss is actually not coming from the name, but between Hari and Krishna, that gap is there, there the bliss is situated. So this is an interpretation, another way to establish the inferiority of the glory of the holy name. So that is what is Kalpanam. Yatoktam Kaurme Vyasa Gitayam Devadrohat Guru Droha Koti Koti Gunadika Jnanapavado Nastikam Tasmat Koti Gunadikam Ita. As stated in the Vyasa Gita section of the Kurma Puran, Yatha Uttam Kaurme Vyasa Gitayam. An offense unto a bona fide spiritual master is millions and millions of times worse than an offense to the Supreme Lord. One who offends the spiritual master, it's millions, koti gunadika, than offense to the Supreme Lord. And then it is said, denial of the validity of Vedic knowledge is faithlessness in the teachings of the Vedas. It is millions of times worse than the offense unto the bona fide spiritual master. So compared to this offense is more severe. That's the point being made. Vaishnav Jana Gana A Namaprada Yatna Purvak Varjan Karibe. With endeavor, Vaishnavas should abandon this offense to the holy name. So anyone who does this Kalpanam interpretation, he should go to that assembly of Vaishnavas and hear the glories of the Vaishnavas and sincerely admit that, out of my illusion, I interpreted, the glory name to be like this. And the Vaishnavas being very merciful, they will forgive us. So that is the remedy if one, misinterprets the holy names in such a way. Okay, so any questions now? Up till now we discussed. There was one hand raised. I think Nityanand Priya Prabhu had raised his hand. First, let us. You have a question, Nityanand Priya Prabhu?
No, yeah, I got the answer, Bhuji.
Yes,
You answered.
Yes, okay. Lakshmi Narasimhan Prabhuji has a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. You mentioned in one of the sentence like only through the Shuddhanam we can achieve the liberation. Any one
Only
form of
through
liberation.
the Nam we can attain the Lord's abode.
Yeah, but I think in Harinama Chintamani, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mentioned even in the stage of Namabhash, you can attain Lord's abode.
No, nowhere does he mention that. By Namabhas, we can attain liberation. By Namabhas, one can attain liberation. But Prema, to attain Prema, one should take Shuddhanam. What to speak, even if Mayavadis, I was mentioning the Mayavadis, they take Pratibimba Namabhas. There is a lot of disturbance, I think. The Mayavadis, they chant the name that is Pratibimba Namabhas. Even they can attain liberation. That is the glory of the holy name. They can attain liberation. And Ashadhanamabhas, within which there is Sankete, Parihasyam, and Stobam, even Ashadhanamabhas can give liberation. Just imagine the glory of the holy name. So that story is there, which Haridas Thakur narrates to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about a Yavana. A Yavana who had gone to answer nature's call, and a wild boar attacked him, and he said haram, haram, and the wild boar attacked him and killed him. And because while leaving the body, he said haram, haram it is, and he took that name in contempt. He did not know that it was the Lord's holy name, and he attained liberation. So Namabhas can give liberation, but in order to attain the Lord's abode, whether it is Vaikuntha or Goloka, one should chant, Shuddhanam. One should chant the Shuddhanam. I hope it is clear.
Okay, Guruji. Thank you.
Anyone has any other questions? Yes. Yes, Sunita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Dhanvat Pranam Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just now we discussed that even Namabhas can give liberation. And the last Namaparad is contradictory, that inattentive chanting. So what about that? How to correlate it?
No, I don't understand your question. Can you repeat once again?
Just now we discussed that Namabhas can also give liberation.
Yes.
And we have the 10th Namaparad. We should chant attentively. So how to correlate it?
Correlate mostly, firstly, you have to understand what are the results of chanting Namaparad, Namabhas, and Shuddhanam. By chanting Namaparad, one can get all the enjoyment in this world up to Swarga. All the opulences you can get. By chanting Namabhas, you can achieve maximum liberation. That's it. You attain liberation. But by chanting Shuddhanam, you attain Prema. So, when one is chanting Namaprads, especially he's inattentive while chanting, there is purification happening, but it is very, very, very slow. It's very slow. So that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur and all the acharyas recommend that one should, be very careful not to commit offense of inattention while chanting the holy names. So that's why Namaprad, by Namaprad chanting, you can get a lot of opulence up to Swarga. So that's the relationship. And purification happens. And maybe, in your chanting, it is one name you have heard. One name. In your few rounds or 16 rounds, you have just heard one name. And that name, what you heard, which entered the heart, that is Nam. That is Nam. And the result of that is that, you're getting purified and you're becoming free from all your sinful habits, your sinful proclivities. That is the glory that even in Namapara stage, such level of purification happening. And then what to speak of Namabhas, and then what to speak of Shuddhanam. So having understood all this, then we should be very, very careful that we cross this Namaprad stage and come to at least Namabha stage. That should be our endeavor. That should be our goal. Come to the stage of Namabha stage. That's why there is offensive chanting, offenseless chanting. Offenseless means the offenses are there, but they have reduced to quite a high degree. Now you're not inattentive while chanting, you're putting all your attention and concentration. But because these anarthas are there in the form of cloud and fog, you are not able to take the name, but you are able to take the reflection of the name. And only when, with great care and endeavor, these clouds in the form of anarthas and fog is dissipated, then the full sun and the glory of the holy name, you can take shelter. And there, rasa, Naam is rasa, and it's full of consciousness. There is experience. So that is the goal we need to, strive for. Is it clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Any other questions? Kalpanam. I think the offense of Kalpanam is very clear. So we have completed the 6th offense. So now let's go to the 7th offense to the holy name. Yes, we. अथैव दुष्ट रूपे, this is last paragraph, I think. दुष्ट रूपे अर्थवाद करिया नामे के जड़ात्मक. I think I finished this. Yeah. Stanza 18. Now, this is Namo Baladhiyasya Papa Buddhi. Aneke Harinam Ashray Kariya Mane Karena A. Having taken shelter of Lord Hari's holy name, many think, what? Amara samasta papa vyadira ekati aushad labh karyache. We have found a medicine for the disease of all our sinful reactions. Say Vishwasera Sahita Taha Pravanchana Mitya Vachan Lampata Ityadi Pap Acharan Karya Punare Harinam Ucharan Purvak Ai Samast Papa Shalana Karite Cheshta Karen. With that belief, say Vishwasera, they engage in sinful activities. Taha Pravanchana, what is it? Such as cheating. Pravanchana means cheating. Speaking untruth, Mithya Vachan, and debauchery, Lampat. And again they utter the holy name of Hari and endeavor to cleanse themselves of all those sinful reactions. Cheshta karena. A samasta pap shalena karite cheshta. So they commit all these sinful activities and they have this mentality, oh, I've committed this sin. Now let me sit and take the holy name to eradicate these sinful reactions. This mentality, if you chant with this mentality, then you commit a very grievous offense. Now, please note here, notice that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has clubbed cheating, speaking untruth, and debauchery under the same heading of sinful activities. So speaking untruth is also sinful activity. Please remember that. Please remember that it is a sinful activity. A sakal vyakti namaparadi. All such persons are offenders to the holy name. Any naam ashray करे ना, तेनी चिद रसेर आस्वादन करे और जड़िया असद वस्तुते आसक्ति करे ना. One who takes shelter of the holy name, any naam ashray करे ना, having relished spiritual rasa, तेनी चिद रसेर आस्वादन करिया, is no longer attached to material ephemeral objects. Tahar dwara papachar sambhav nai. It is impossible for him to engage in sinful activities. So one who is having relished the holy name, it is impossible for him to engage in what? Sinful activities. Sinful activities are committed because of attachment to material ephemeral objects. Then what about Lord Krishna's statement, Api Chet Sudaracharo, 9.30? That seems to indicate that a pure devotee of Lord Krishna may exhibit sinful activities. No, this verse does not mean so. So here I would like to point out a very important thing which Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions in Harinam Chintamani, that somebody who takes to the chanting of the holy names in the beginning stages also, because he has relished the rasa, and we know that we all have that experience in the beginning stages of our spiritual life. When we chant, we experience a kind of bliss which we have not experienced in this world. And because we have experienced that rasa, the sinful activity, propensity to commit sin is completely eradicated from the heart. And now you take to Krishna conscious practice and start leading a pure life. But please remember that until anarth nivritti happens, and especially when you come to the stage, up till the stage of asakti, please remember, there is no tendency to commit sinful activities. There is no tendency to commit sinful activities. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Harinam Chintamani mentions that pap is not there. There is no pap activities, but papa gandha. He uses the term papa gandha because still the heart is not purified of the past sinful and pious reactions, because you know that nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati neshtiki. This verse from the Bhagavatam. And there are anarthas in the form of sukrututta, dushkrututta, bhakti utta, and aparadutta. So the dushkrututta and sukrututta, pious reactions, sinful reactions, they are destroyed atyantika, completely at the stage of asakti. At the stage of asakti, they are completely destroyed. So until then, there is something called as papa gandha. There is papa gandha. And a devotee, while he is going through the purification and chanting, because of these impressions which are still there in the chitta, he might succumb to it and commit some abnormal activity, coming under the influence of the impressions. Atakena prayuktam papam charati purusha anichanapi varshaya baladiva niyojasa. Arjuna is also asking that question. And Krishna in 9.30, he is assuring, api chet suduracharo. Even if he commits a durachari, bhajate mam ananyabhak, he is exclusively worshiping me, sadhu. He is to be considered as a sadhu. So he accidentally, because coming under the influence of the impressions, because still the purification has not happened, he might commit something abominable. Then Krishna knows that and he considers him sadhu. So, quickly he will be very repentful, and that repentance will purify his heart, and he will, become more determined in his practices of Krishna consciousness. But on the other hand, if one is taking pleasure in doing sinful activities, in debauchery, in cheating, in telling lies, that means his Shraddha has not awakened in the glories of bhakti. And, Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions, and Jiva Goswami mentioned that that is Paramparik Shraddha. That is not Shastriya Shraddha. He doesn't have Shastriya Shraddha because he doesn't have faith in the words of the Shastra. So he has got Paramparik Shraddha and not Shastriya Shraddha. For them, Krishna, this verse is not applicable. But those who have faith in the scriptures, especially faith in the bhakti literatures, and they are taken up to the process wholeheartedly, and because up till the stage of asakti, the papa gandha is there, so they might come under the influence of the impressions and commit something abominable. Krishna will take care of it. Krishna will take care of it. And Krishna assures that in the Uddhav Gita. Vikarma Vyatichot Patitam. I don't recollect that verse. Swapada Moolam Bhajata Priyasya. Tektva Anya Bhavasya Pareshava. Vikarmam Chot Patitam. Vikarmam Chot Kadachin. Something it is, Dhunoti Sarva Riddhi Sanyavishta. I am situated in the heart and I will purify him, he says. Swapada Moolam, one who has taken exclusive shelter of Krishna, and Bhajata Ananyas, he is worshipping me and he is not worshipping any other demigods. Vikarmam Chot, even if he commits something which is sinful, Kadachin is mentioned there. I will purify his heart. Dhunoti Sarvam Riddhi Sannivi, because I am situated in the heart. So that is the point. So that is why it is impossible for someone to engage in sinful activities. Somebody is taking pleasure in sinful activities, then his Shraddha in Shastras is not there. Shraddha in the holy name is not there. That means he is, he is a different candidate, and Krishna will treat him differently. But those who are taken up to the shelter of the holy name, who have relished rasa, they have no taste for sinful activities. I hope these points are clear. A. Aparadite atyanta gurutara sarvada parihar. This offense is extremely grievous and it should be always given up. It should be given up. Okay, I'll just take the remedy which is mentioned by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Harinam Chintamani, committing sin on the strength. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if one foolishly commits sin on the strength of the chanting, one should purify himself by staying in the association of pure devout Vaishnavas. Sinful desires are like highwaymen that lay in wait. Pure Vaishnavas are guards that protect travelers on the highway. So these sinful desires, like this bhakti, is like a path of highway which is self-illuminated. And while traversing this path, there are like always, there are highway robbers who might attack in the form of kama, krodha and all. So they are compared like the highwaymen, and the pure devotees are like the guards who protect the travelers on the highwaymen. By chanting the holy name, one loudly calls for the guards come, and the robbers flee. Chant the holy name with love. Oh, my brothers, do not fear. Hear this. The Supreme Lord himself has said, I will be your protector. So one should, as a remedy, if one has committed this kind of offense, he should purify by staying in the association of Vaishnavas and taking shelter of the Vaishnavas as the guards, So that's the remedy he mentions. So any questions on this? Any questions, any clarifications? Yes, Birendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, here you mentioned that in this case we must call the Vaishnava. So,
Yes.
does it literal meaning of calling Vaishnava or how it is?
What do you mean? Literal meaning of calling Vaishnavas?
Calling Vaishnava, I mean, when we are in such kind of situation, so we should call Vaishnava means we should take association of Vaishnava and we should disclose our position. This is what it means.
Yes, yes. So when these uh, uh, this sinful vasanas attack us either internally or externally, then we should, really call out from the heart that I've been attacked by these highway robbers, and we should go take shelter of pure devotees. Even if pure devotees are not there, then take shelter of our counselors who are Madhyam Adhikaris also. Even if they are not there, then take shelter of Kanishta Adhikaris who are, simple devotees, who have also taken up to practice. So whoever Vaishnavas are available, we should immediately take shelter of them, and especially those who are, our real well-wishers, who we have a very good relationship and who are very confidential. We should confide to them and take their shelter, and they will guard us and protect us from the sinful highway robbers. So we should do that. It is literal. It is not, metamorphical. It is literally we have to take shelter, and then they will protect us from this. But I mentioned the point, if one is taking pleasure in these sinful activities and doing these kind of debauchery and cheating, then he doesn't have faith itself. His faith is paramparik and it is not shastrik shraddha. Yes, Vasant Naik Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam.
Yes. Yeah, what is
Hello, my voice is clear, Prabhuji?
very clear?
So I have question, Prabhuji. Suppose suppose I am chanting non means non naam aprad or unattentively,
Uh,
and suppose I die.
uh.
So that is means what is the position? So we cannot go to the back to Godhead. If you even while dying time I chant the name of Krishna or Radha or Mahamantra.
That is why it's
So
very clear in the Shastras. If you refer to every purport of Prabhupada in the Gita or in the Bhagavatam or in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is very, very crystal clear that one has to be completely free from all sins. All sins. Prabhupada, if you want, I can show you one reference, very, very interesting reference. That as long as one is not chanting Shuddhanam, one cannot go back to Godhead. One cannot go back to Godhead. Maybe he'll be given another chance in the family of Suchinam and Srimatam to continue his practice. Because ultimately, only by chanting Shuddhanam, one can go back to Godhead. So, Prabhupada, I'm sharing the screen. Here, this verse, Shunvatam Sukata Krishna, Punya Shavana Kirtana, Adhantastoya Bhadrani, Vidhanoti Suritsatam. So he's saying one cannot enter the kingdom of God unless one is perfectly cleared of all sins. Perfectly cleared, you see. And then if you want, in the Gita, 8:28, I'm just giving you two references. Vedeshu Yageshu Tapashu Chaiva. He's very clearly saying one who has little faith in Bhagavad Gita should learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee. This is Shraddha. And then he says, one should therefore learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee and not from a multi-spirited. This is sign of faith, Shraddha. When one searches for a devotee and fortunately gets a devotee's association, one actually begins to study and understand Bhagavad Gita. Sadhu Sangha and Bhajan Kriya. You find out a pure sadhu who has in-depth understanding of the Gita, and you start doing bhajan of Gita, means understanding the Gita. By advancement in association of devotee, one is placed in devotional service, and this service dispels all misgivings about Krishna or God, his activities, forms, pastimes, names, and other features. So this is anarth nivritti. When all misgivings are perfectly cleared, one becomes fixed in one study. This is nishtha. Then one relishes ruchi, study, and attains a feeling of always Krishna consciousness. This is bhava. In the advanced stage, one falls completely in love with Krishna. This is what stage? Vasant Naik Prabhuji. What is the stage?
Yeah, it's prema.
Prema. And then Prabhupada, the next statement is this higher state. This higher state refers to this prema stage. Perfectional stage of life enables a devotee to be transferred to Krishna's abode in the spiritual life, where a devotee becomes eternally happy. So which stage you will attain Golok Vrindavan now?
Prabhuji, prema.
Prema. So Shuddhanam. Shuddhanam is Premnam. So you can find n number of references, and we should not be in a misconception that by chanting Namaprad you will attain the Lord, or Namabhas also, for your kind information. Is it okay? So at least now we should be endeavoring not to commit offenses while chanting the holy name.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji, for clearing.
Yeah. There was one more hand raised. Yes, Nityananda Priya Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, you explained that we should not have those sinful propensities, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur clearly says that being untruthful or speaking lies, one of the three which you mentioned. But
Yes.
Prabhuji, in a day-to-day routines during at our offices and all, this being like speaking lies or being untruthful, this is natural. Actually, we have to do sometimes, most of the times, in fact, just to get rid of the situation or to get rid of people or many other reasons. So we have to speak lies. So does this also affect our advancement?
Yes, it affects. It affects. Now, the whole purpose of Varnashram was that you don't commit sin at all and you lead a very pious, pure life. I'm just saying pious, pure life. I'm not speaking about pure devotee. Pious, pure life. So there's pious impressions help us to be more favorable to take up to bhakti. Now, to begin bhakti, even if you are the most sinful of sinful, you can begin bhakti. And bhakti is so powerful that, all the sinful reactions can be destroyed. But if you want to get purified with the practice of bhakti, and at the same time, forget committing aparad, you're committing pap also, those papa will become an obstacle in your bhakti, in your practice of bhakti. So that's why Vishwanath Chakra Thakur, when he speaks about anarth nivritti, we have an understanding of anarth nivritti means, I give up, smoking, I give up drinking, I give up all these bad habits, I lead a pure life. That is also one level of anarth nivritti, which happens when we take up to Krishna consciousness. But Madhur Kadamni, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur mentions anarth nivritti as sukritutta Dushkututta, Bhakti Utta, and Aparadutta. So if we have committed a lot of sinful activities in our previous life, we are suffering the sinful reactions. So while practicing bhakti, these sufferings which are coming on the body, this will, our mind is disturbed and we cannot do our bhajan. So it becomes an obstacle. And if you have committed a lot of pious activities in the previous life, you will get a lot of wealth in this life. And having a lot of wealth in this life, that will become also an obstacle in your bhajan. So once, one of the sannyasis was telling that he had gone to visit a big businessman. You can imagine in UK, he's got a house which has only 25 kitchens. So how big is the house? He's very, very favorable, to the devotees. And sometimes he comes, to the temple and he goes in the brahmachari ashram and he likes to associate with the brahmacharis. He said, I want to be like you all, but what to do? I have such a big empire managing a big company. So he has got a lot of, sukruti in this life. It is a reaction which is coming from the pious activities which he has done. So his pious reactions are acting as an obstacle in his bhajan. Similarly, when we start practicing bhakti, there is name, fame, and following which will come, and that will also act like distraction. Puja la pratishtha. So what to speak that if while practicing bhakti, if you're committing sin, then definitely they will act as obstacles. So that is why Prabhupada recommended that we stay in a varnashram setup where, we don't do any sinful activities. Krishi, Goraksha and Vanijya is what is the activities of a Vaishya. Krishi is a very pure activity. Goraksha is still purer. Vanijya, mercantile, also there is purity, but still there the tendency to cheat is there, the tendency to commit sin. So if you evaluate, the way in Krishna is narrated, Krishi, Goraksha and Vanijya, third, the last one is third. So if somebody is into business, there is a tendency to commit, sin, and that will act as an obstacle. And that's why as long as we are not free from this, we will be not able to do our bhajan and attain steadiness in our bhajan. So as far as possible, we need to lead a life which is free from sin. Which is free from sin.
Mhm.
Is it clear, Prabhuji?
Yes, Puji. Puji,
Sorry, 1 second. You're saying something?
yes, Puji. Can I ask one more question, Puji?
Yes.
Can you please, in brief, tell me what is to take shelter of the holy name? Is it only to have a sadhana properly in the morning and reading books, reading Prabhupada books? Is this only like doing ABCD of our devotion life? Is this only taking shelter from him, or anything else is there? What are other components to take shelter of the holy name?
To take shelter of the holy name means to be in that consciousness, that surrendered consciousness is required. And for us now at this point, to take shelter of the holy name means to understand Nama Tattva, to understand the glories of the holy name, and to chant the holy names with great care and attention, not to commit any offense of inattention while chanting. Inattention while chanting.
Mhm.
So if we start doing that and regularly hearing, the Gita and the Bhagavad, with a submissive attitude, as Krishna has mentioned, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya updekshanti jnanam jnaninas tattva-darshanam. So we are all at the stage where we are accumulating Shraddha. By hearing Krishna Katha, we are building our faith. And when that faith really matures to come to the point of Sarva Dharman Parityaja, then real pure devotion begins. Till then, the devotion is mixed. It is mishrit, because we have our conditional nature, and because we have this conditional nature, our swabhav, whatever it is, either it is of a businessman or it is administration, we have inclination to do those activities. And those activities, when we do, there is karma avaran happening. You're doing karma, and that karma you are offering in a way which is favorable to our devotion. So it becomes karma arpanam. It is not bhakti, it is karma. But Shuddha Bhakti means Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. You are doing exclusively the activities of pure devotional service. That is the Navvida Bhakti, or the 64 limbs of Bhakti. So we have to, uh, hear more the glory names, or glories of holy name, and spend more and more time in doing the Navvida Bhakti. Yeah. So, and especially if we put all our attention throughout the day, whatever activities we do, so that we are in the right consciousness, that we can chant the holy names with attention. That is the best thing we should do at this point. Okay.
Yes, Puji. Thank you very much.
Yes, last question, Reena Mataji. Yeah. Yes. Can you be a little loudly, please?
I'm now audible, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Question related to last question.
No. Your audio is not clear. Sunita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I had a question
Hmm.
that how to realize that a particular person has achieved prema.
There are symptoms. There are symptoms. For everything, there is a lakshana. There is a lakshana. And by lakshana, you can understand everything. So what to speak of symptoms of prema, even symptoms for, one who's a sthita pragya, nishta, Madhuri Kadamni explains what are the symptoms of one who has nishta. There is laya. Laya means sleep. So even if he's sleepy, feeling sleepy, when he starts hearing Bhagavatam, he is fully awake, because so much nectar he's experiencing. So there's no question of sleep in your chanting. When you take up your mala, although you're fully exhausted, when you take the naam, you are fully experiencing rasa, and you're awakened. So there is no laya, there's no vikshep, there's no distraction, there is no apratipatti, there is no kashaya. Kashaya means tendency to become angry, or tendency to get attracted to sense objects. And then there is rasaswad. Kashaya means still tendencies for to show, exhibit anger and all. And rasaswad means actually relishing material sense objects. So for every stage there are symptoms, and similarly for prema also there are symptoms. The symptoms, by symptoms everything can be recognized. A doctor also recognizes the disease by symptoms only. Is it okay? Okay. So we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Jai, Shri Harinam ki Jai.